Welcome. All right, let's get going. Welcome everyone to Developer Office Hour. My name is Maddie. I do this every Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, and the idea is that we come on here. You're welcome to bring your questions about NVIDIA Omniverse, developing for NVIDIA Omniverse, and I have some questions that I have prepared from the week, things that came up on the forums, on Discord, and then it's open forum for anything you want to ask, and I can try to answer live. And anything that I can't answer, we can always bring it back up the following week. So any questions that I answer, they are the source code that I show. They're shown in this repo. Let me paste that into the right chat. There we go. And in here, there's an extension for every date, and you'll usually find an extension and also a scripts folder with some of the scripts that I wrote. All of this is also available. If you go here to the Omniverse FAQ, you can quickly browse through all the questions that have been asked in the past. And these link to timestamped videos, so you don't need to go through the whole video to get the answer that you're looking for. And if you're watching this from the future, in the description of this video, you'll also find timestamped links to the questions. So without further ado, welcome Funky Boy, welcome For Design. Let's get started. If you're here, let me know. All right, so today, just one question. I was working on this here. How do you add two windows from one extension? So this was a good question. Usually we show, the usual pattern is you would do one window per extension. That's what you most often see if you look at the source code that NVIDIA developers have shared. But there's no reason why you can add more than one from a single extension. So let's go into code here. So I created this extension called Window Menu Add. I'll show you where that is in a little bit. But this was kind of just showing how you can add a window to the window menu so that you can activate it and deactivate it from there. And then if you close the window, then it also unchecks it here. So there's a little bit of a bidirectional link there. And so I extended this example to be two windows that get added here. And so I have those there. You saw me demo this. Nothing too fancy. And so let's look at the code for that. I have this in a separate branch, so let me switch this over. Actually, I was in the right spot. Okay. So here we have, I just defined dictionary with window titles, and this is all flexible, but you can change it to your needs. In this case, I just used one window class, and I made two instances of it. But for the most part, there's nothing too tricky about this once you know what you're doing here. We connect this. We add an item for each window in the window menu. And we set a function to be called when that gets checked or unchecked. And when I loop through here, I pass in the window title so that I know which one was the one that was checked. And then I just here I just check in my dictionary to see which one was the one that was checked. I grab the correct instance and I show it, or I hide it. And the first time, if the window doesn't exist yet, I go ahead and create it. And then when I shut down, I've kept track of the menus, which is really just a string. It's just this window title, and you pass that string back to remove item, and it'll remove it for you. And then I go through and destroy the windows as well. And that's it. So not too bad. Other than that, this hasn't changed from what I had before. That I have a show function and a hide function, and all that's doing is setting the visibility, the visible property, and also setting focus on the window when I show it. So I bring it up to the front in case there's other floating windows. Hey, Michael. Hey, Adesoji. And that's about it for this one. Any questions? The code for this, so I have this repo here, window menu add, and this is the one that gets that I was showing. And I have the main branch, which is the single window, and then here I made a new branch called multi-window, so you have access to either example. So for that one, you'll want to access it here. I'll set it to the right branch here and share it. Hello, Zia. And any questions about that? Cool. So no reason why you couldn't do like a Microsoft pop-up warning spam with a bunch of windows from one extension if you wanted to. Don't do that. Hey, Gavin. Okay. So that's all I have for today. That's the one big one that I was working on. Any questions? I have one question queued up that I could jump into, but I may struggle with it a bit. So I wanted to try to see if I know you missed everything, Data Juggler. No. So Michael Davies asking if what I showed was for a window that is constrained by the main window. Not entirely sure what you mean, but all I demoed was this one extension that creates two windows, and I've had this example before, but I extended it to two windows. This example is showing how to add windows to the window menu, so that just as a best practice, when you start out, you might put your window creation in your on startup function, but that can be kind of spammy if somebody enables your extension and they don't want your window to show immediately. So that's why we show this example of how to add it to the menu so that people can open it on demand, not be spammed with it when they enable the extension. There's different schools of thought on that. Some people really like the in your face enable the extension. You get a window that pops up in your face and you know that it worked. But when you're creating apps, that can be problematic when every extension is deciding to open automatically. Cool. All right. Well, if there are no questions, I will go to the next question that I have. Funky Boy wants to see a Lego walk cycle workflow. I don't think I have that set up to show on a live stream right now, but we can definitely talk about it. Okay, I'll do that one because I think it's fun. I mean, I'll talk about it at least. Yeah, Zia brings up a good point. Well, I don't know. Like I said, when an app starts up, a notification pop up that then disappears. It's kind of meeting in the middle, but at the same time, that would still be spammy for the app developers that want to use your extension. So safest thing is don't open it. Can you hide the main window while keeping the other windows open? No, right? Because the main window. Sorry, I should show this question. So Michael Davey clarified: can you hide the main window while keeping the other windows open? That is not possible, right? Because even if I thought we had a way to. Did we not have a way to undock these? Or like to split it from the main window? Yeah, there we go. Move to external window. Why can't I do that with this one? That must have some special flag to prevent it. All right, so we move that to an external window. There it is. And if I minimize the main window, oh, it did stay. No, it's busted. Interesting that it didn't minimize too. But no, I wouldn't expect that to work because they're still tied to this main window. But I did show you what you wanted it, right? It looks like the second part of your question was you want that move to external window, even if it minimizes or is not responsive when the main window is minimized. So that's how you do it. I think we have a flag for that, and I could show that. Let's take a quick look here. I think that's useful. All right, let's see here. All right, as always, I control click to get to the source code for this, for the implementation of this. For OmniUI, there's actually a UI.pyi, which is a Python interface file, if I remember correctly. And this just outlines the interface for this module. And it's also where we have all the doc strings. So I just like to open this and look through everything. So class has some flags. You can give it flags. There's also a property for setting the flags, and I think we have another class for flags. Like that. That'd be a good search. No, there's 610. Yeah, this is going to be the one window flag. No? Blah, 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 blah. Here we go. So these are the flags. So you can make it no focus on appearing, no move. There may not be a flag for that. So I may need to come back to that. But lots of useful flags here that you may not have been aware of. You can make a window modal, so it prevents all clicking on anything on any other part of the UI until you've clicked on that. If you want to in your face pop up that you have to acknowledge before you can move on. No collapsing, no docking, blah blah blah. And this is also documented over here. Windows. Here are the flags, right? So shows you how to use it. You pass it to window flags, and then you do bitwise operators to include multiple flags together. And so that's modal, right? I can't click on anything here. So all of these are interactive, and you can play with them and try them out. Pop-up, if I click here, it gives me a little pop-up. This is actually a window, even though it looks like it doesn't look like it. It's actually opening up a window when I click on that. Or rather, this is a special pop-up window, but I think that's just a window with the pop-up flag. Yeah. Yep. Pop-up is just a window with pop-up flag. Cool. Search detachable. Good idea. So you'd set that to true, but then is there, and this is, I'm guessing, on the window class, but can I programmatically detach is the question. I don't think so, because that was, there's only 3 results here, and we just looked at them. Workspace is not going to have it. Well, let's see what Workspace does. Workspace lets you control windows here. No. I'll ask. I think that's a good point. Is you may want to make a window that's just automatically detached. I think I would like that. So let me make a note here. Does that sound useful, Michael? Is that something you're actually needing? It sounds useful to me, so I want to ask for it. But if there's somebody in the community looking for it, then that's great. Yeah, and then as an alternative, if Michael was talking about, if you wanted to, you could potentially implement 2 separate apps, have them communicate with each other if you wanted to have separate control. Definitely possible. A lot of work, right? To to do that. Maybe easier with Omniverse, the way that everything is. It's one API. They both talk to each other. They both play well together instead of having two separate apps that, which has been my experience, is getting two different worlds to talk to each other is a bit more work. Cool. Let's see, lots of questions now. Zia's got some good questions. Should we dive into that one? There's some interest in virtual humans. I recommend joining the Discord. Join our Discord in the audio to face channel. There's other folks interested in doing that. They've been showing some demos. There's a link to the Discord. So I think we've got a good community building around that, and some folks already have some working prototypes. So I think it'd be good to continue to rally there and support each other. Okay, let's go to Zia's. So Zia's asking about, we have viewport only mode. We also have, can you make that toggleable? Can you do that with any window? The way that you can with control space in Blender. Maya has something similar too. I think that's an interesting question. So here we have this layout. And if I do, that's just going to be a layout file. So potentially, I don't think you want to do it like this. You probably want to dig into the lower level code and that the layout uses, and probably just do it that way. But I guess it'd be like a custom layout because you obviously don't want to create a layout file for every window. But if you just created a temp layout file just to load it, and then you remember which layout was last and come back to that, I think that would be the way to go about it. If this is what you like, which and you set that up as a hotkey, right? I think that would be we could probably do a fun code with me with that. If you're interested, Zia. I think it's a bigger scope than what I can do here. But let me know if this is something that you want to do. I will let you do it. But that would be the approach, is let's see. Let's see what hotkeys we have. So these are the 3 hotkeys that we have here, right? And it looks like they created these actions for these very specific layouts. If we go to those actions, we could actually find out where they're coming from. So we go to the actions window, for layout. They're coming from this editor menu bridge. So that's what I would do is have some hotkey that will call an action. I guess you would get the, I'm not entirely sure. I think you can get the last focused window. You figure out once you've got the last focused window, you create a layout with just that window. Save the window that you're going to come back to. And I'm just thinking about actions, because actions are supposed to be one-offs, and then we have this state that we're kind of defining here that we need to go back to the previous layout. So there might be some tweaking to do there, but yeah, when that you create a temp layout file, you load that layout file, and now you're in your single window mode. And then when you click on it again, when you do that hotkey again, you return back to the original layout, and you can clean up the temp layout file. You don't need that anymore until the next time. Should be pretty doable. Shouldn't be too slow. Should be fairly responsive. Yeah, you want to hold the previous layout in memory. I don't know if we store that anywhere. That's actually maybe the trickiest part is the app, I don't think, has any notion of current layout. It's just like a one-off action that gets fired. Let's take a quick look here. Let me pull this off to the side for a minute. So this is the setup extension for code. Should have a quick layout here that it does, and it just loads it. I don't think quick layout has any notion of what is the current layout, but we should find out. Quick layout. All right, here's the code for quick layout. So when you load a layout, does it store it anywhere? And all I'm doing here in code is searching for the extension. That might crash. Searching for the extension and then clicking on the VS Code button so I can get to the source code. So when I say load file, I closed the window. This one. When I say load file, it's going to read the workspace file. And it's actually doing a restore workspace from the data from that JSON file. So then the question is, does the workspace store that data somewhere? Yeah, I think I think this is a great idea, Zia. I think, like I said, I would recommend doing an extension for this. I think it'd be valuable. Let me go back to my. Nope, not that one. This file, right? So workspace can get. Is that function not documented here? What was the function called? Restore workspace. It's a class method. I didn't see it in here. Let's see. Restore. Oop. Can I? There's workspace utils. That might be handy. There's the restore workspace. So potentially, the answer's in there. Is you potentially want to. Ooh, look at that. Dump the workspace. And then restore workspace. So that's probably what you want to do. Is before you switch to your temp layout file that you've created, dump the workspace, save that, and then use restore workspace afterwards when you toggle back. But then, like I said, maybe action isn't the. Maybe it's two actions. One is, and something needs to keep track of the state that previous workspace they need to return to. All right, Sia, it's on you. We have it documented here. So yeah, if I encourage you to try it out. If you need help, I'm always here. Anything else? Let me catch up with the chat. I'm not set up to do a Docker, to run a Docker image of Isaac Sim. AE Robotics, we have a live stream on Tuesdays for Isaac Sim. So I'd recommend checking that out. That'd be the best place to ask. Michael sharing some great information. Learn tab on the launcher, great place to look for videos and learning content. Also, I did not know that you could add Discord events to your calendar. I need to find out how to do that. But we do have the add event calendar. So here we have Isaac Sim is at 2 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesdays. So add individual events or our full calendar, so you can stay in the loop. Awesome. Okay, so the Funky Boy was asking about animation. I don't think I have that set up, but I can talk a little bit about it. And this may only make sense to Funky Boy. Epic Fig Rig. What was my issue with that? Epic Fig Rig, I think, is set up so that the meshes are parented to the bones. It doesn't use weights on those meshes. It doesn't do weight painting on the meshes for which bone should have effect on the meshes. USD scale, the easiest thing for me was to change the Epic Fig Rig to use weights instead of parenting, because I didn't want to dig into USD scale to figure out if I could make that sort of setup work. So I can share that with you. Once I did that, then yeah, any bone animation that I did with Epic Fig Rig, when I did the Omniverse export, it would export the meshes with the USD scale animation. It would do a scale animation. And so with that, if I did parenting, the USD export from the Omniverse one from Blender would bake the meshes in world, or it wouldn't do it in world space, but it would put the transformations on the meshes themselves instead of on the bones, and then maintain the parenting to the bones. So which makes sense then, and that's probably why it was a dead end, is because the USD doesn't have a notion of a parent constraint. So the bone, so that's probably why that probably would not work. So once I got that, well, now I have an asset with a scale animation. I could just reference the scale animation and apply it to any minifig with the same bone hierarchy. And you just do that by choosing the source animation for a USD scale. So that was it. Does that help? Did it sound like a lot of mumbo jumbo? So I found that to be an acceptable workflow. Instead of the other thing that I could do is write a custom exporter and only export the animation, the scale and the animation. But that was going to be more effort. So I figured I can just work my pipeline to say, reference the animation from that file and leave the meshes behind. Yeah, exactly. So Funky Boy, when you do the export, you get the anime. If you try to do a regular workflow with the Epic Fig Rig and USD export, you're just going to get the baked animation. So let me see. Let me see if I can show something. I haven't worked on this in forever, so I'm absolutely lost as far as where I have that stuff. Okay, this is going to be the one probably. Ba-ba-dum. Open. No, it's going to be in tests. Let's start with this one. So if you do this successfully, this is what, I'm not sure what this is. This was just me exporting all the characters. Ignore that. But here I have, this should be, this is one character. So this would be a reference to just the character with the rig. And this one's busted. I'm telling you, it's been a while. I think I need to go to Composer. All right, in the meantime, I'm gonna look. I did. So Simply Tenable is asking, didn't I use the Epic figurine in the Lego showcase? I did. And I love that rig. I think if you're that the to change the way the character's rigged, instead of doing parent constraints, I changed it to do vertex weights so that, but one bone per mesh, so that it would not deform, but it'd be driven by the vertex weighting. All right, so technically, there we go. I'm not sure what's up with code, why it's not showing the rig in the outliner. And I must be missing an extension there. So this would be my library character asset. It is the rig. This is exported from Blender with my modified Epic fig rig. And it has the weighting for each of the meshes, and then here's the meshes. So in my library, I would have this. I would do all my texturing and all that on this asset. Then I would have this. I did this walk cycle here. So I animated this in I animated this in Blender with that Epic fig rig, customized one, and I exported it again with the Omniverse USD export. And so what that did is it exported these. I think these are the controls. I think I could clean that up and not have these. But the important part is it exported the rig here again. And I don't care about any of this data except this scale animation. So I could reference this in, and actually let's do that. That's correct. Fig rig is, yeah, it's a Blender plugin. And so I could do new, add a reference to my character. This one would be the one that's all textured and everything. And then I can add a reference to this, except I want to target, how can I do this? World finished rig. I may mess up the syntax. And that broke it. Oh, okay. Default prim, and what I want to do is world finished rig anim. I may need this. No, not quite. Well, the point is you want to target just that prim. And so then when you come back over to this character, you can then come over here and add, I think it's on the skeleton. You want to go to animation, skeletal animation. And now when I check here, I can add a target for the animation source, and I target the animation coming from the other file. And now they're both walking. And that is what I did here. So if I did the second reference right, I could do it so that all I pull in is just the animation data. I don't, that way I don't have this extra geometry. And so that's what these two characters are doing here. Let's put that in real time. So if we look at this character, these are the two characters, and this one is referencing the walk cycle from that reference. And because this is developer office hour, let's see if we can get a little more developer-y here. So here's the reference to that. I think what I'm supposed to do is, I think this is the syntax. Actually, I don't remember. I think this is supposed to be, take a look. Add reference, USD. So I know how to do it with code. I just want the syntax for USD tutorial. Referencing layers. There should be an example in here. No? Another great place to check is in the GitHub repo for USD. If you search for reference, look at the CUI has changed, so it's a little weird. If we look at the Python, we can look at the tests that were written. Test USD reference. And from here, I don't remember which tutorials I watched for Epic Fake Rig there. I just I watched the basic ones just to understand how the rig worked, and then moved on. All right, let's just try this. I think it's going to be world. Finished rig, anim. We're almost out of time. Let's try that one. So I reloaded. I don't know what it did. Doesn't look like it liked that one. And maybe anim is the... I'm not allowed to import that prim or reference that prim. That seems like the right syntax, though. I don't think it's this way. But yeah, sorry. I thought I could pull that out. So yeah, I need to sort that out for myself. Now it's fixed. But the idea is I just pull in the exact information I need from that export. If we can apply a mocap to the fig rig, we'll be golden. I was thinking about that, yeah, because I was thinking we could use the pose tracker from Machinima. But I thought it would just be wonky to, act out like a minifig. So yeah, and like for the animation style that I want, I want it to be as close to Lego Movie as possible. So I want to try to get good at that animation, custom animation. So, any other questions? Oh, Funky Boy had one more question about, do you think rigging a Bricklink, a figure from Bricklink in Omniverse is doable? I don't think we have the tools to do that today. But what I did want to point out to you, if you haven't noticed already, is that the Bricklink minifigs are pretty, they don't line up with the minifigs from Mechabricks. So Epic Fig Rig is built for Mechabricks, and so keep that in mind. Is I did think about that. Is I wanted to maybe just build my characters in Bricklink and then rig those, but I did notice that the arms are a little different. The Mecha bricks are, I don't actually know what the history is. Mecha bricks are supposedly hand modeled, but I suppose the L-Draw ones, the Bricklink ones, are too, because they're driven by the community, so they're just kind of best guess, best try, not necessarily to spec. So I don't know who's right in that regard, but for the minifigs, yeah, I'd probably stick to Bricklink or Mechabrick, since they're not really, they don't really match, and that way, unless you want to try to make your rig adapt to each one, but yeah, it was just the arms that were the big issue for me. Right. So you're right, Zia. The pose tracker has some basic humanoid rig, so you would have to retarget, and so there's going to be some lossiness to it. It wouldn't be one-to-one. I just thought I would end up fighting with pose tracker and with the mocap data too much to really make that worth it. And then, like I said, I think the quality of animating it by hand is worth it. And then the other part that we haven't even talked about is face rigs. Those, I was looking, there's I don't remember the name of the one that everybody uses for the face rigs in Blender, but that one uses meshes to do the shapes. Can I turn off the, is it this one? If I set this to 0. There we go. The one that everybody uses in Blender uses meshes, which looked promising because they deform the meshes, and then I was like, well, I can export the baked mesh and animate that and just parent that to the head in Omniverse. But the issue is that it's a mixture of deformed planes that are wrapped around the head, and also some material graph set up for like the pupils and things like that. So that's not easily transferable to Omniverse. So I don't remember where I was going to go with that for for me. I think I was leaning towards I was going to have to build my own rig, and the easiest thing would be just have face shapes and swap out the textures. But obviously that you lose a lot of flexibility with that. So lots of work to still do there, but pretty renders. And then if you were on Discord the other day after the Adobe thing, the Adobe live stream, I was talking about how I would really like to get into a designer and do custom Uber material for Legos with the scratches and everything, the same way that the Mechabricks folks have done for Blender, but do one for just an SB SAR, and have that, bring that into Omniverse and do my look dev in there. But that's a whole nother project. So I think that'll be fun. Yeah, the smudges. There's so much work to do there. Like, if you were to look at the reflections on these bricks, you get basically perfect mirror reflections, and so yeah, there's all these smudges and also just warping on the bricks that you wouldn't actually get a perfect reflection on the bricks. And I need to work on the gaps between the bricks and things like that. I have some basic functionality there to leave some gaps, but that could be improved. But the Blender Lego community were really impressed with the Omniverse render. They liked how clean it was. Surprisingly, I'm like, no, it needs to be dirty. So is there copyright issues? I don't know. That's a good question. I think the community's been doing it for a very long time. The main thing would be to not use the Lego trademark. But otherwise, the bricks that I've been getting, they've been community driven for over a decade. And Lego Group has supported them in a number of ways. And Lego Group actually bought one of the companies that was doing that. They were using the LDRAW system, the community driven system for the bricks, and now they bought that company, and it's Bricklink Studio. It's what everybody uses now. So they're fairly encouraging of this. Yeah, I think I was looking into that. I think I have a good way to, as Zia was saying, it'd be great to do UST tutorials using Lego scenes. I think I thought about that because it's easy to build assets and to talk about them, and they're fairly complex and they're CAD-like. So I thought that was a good idea too. I just need to get some clarity on how I can, as far as legal and trademark concerns, how I can use that if I can, if we need to talk to Lego Group about that. But just a fun personal project. Cool. Any other questions? I hope I didn't bore everybody else with the Lego chat. I really agree, though. I just love looking at this stuff. It feels, I know it's not perfect. I still have a lot of work to do, but like I look at this and I'm like, that looks pretty good. And that's just all Omniverse RTX rendering. Yeah, happy to chat more. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining. As always, if you haven't yet, join our Omniverse Insider program. It's just a form that you fill out. Let us know more about yourself, what you're doing with Omniverse, what other apps you use in your workflows. And that way we can connect with you, share any focus group type of things that we're doing, or any opportunities that may come up. It'll help us to know who's who and who's a good person to contact for each thing. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. Bye.